Hey guys, I'm Lizzie.
And I'm Sierra. Welcome to A Girl's Guide, our road to recovery.
Today we're going to be talking about self care and self love.
Okay, so this topic is definitely a huge one.
Mm-hmm.
I know that we all struggle with at some point or still continue to struggle with.
Yeah.
I know for myself, I definitely have, good days and bad days with
Mm-hmm.
this. Um, I've always struggled with self esteem and self confidence. Unfortunately, even when I was younger, I did. I always felt like I wasn't pretty enough or good enough or tall
Mm-hmm.
enough or short enough or skinny enough. You know, I remember I still feel like this sometimes. When I walk into a room, I feel like all eyes are on me and, everyone's talking about me or they're thinking
Mm-hmm.
something bad about me. Or when I leave the room, everyone's judging me. And, half the time that's not even true, or more than half the time,
Yeah.
honestly. But that's just what our brain tells us, that, oh, they don't like us, they
Mm-hmm.
have something bad to say about us, or but in all reality, none of that is really true.
Mm-hmm.
And what other people think about us isn't even our opinion.
Yeah.
Even if they are talking about us, who
Mm-hmm.
cares? I wish it was that simple, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, I remember when around 16 is when I started using, and I always, when I started using, I immediately felt like I was better and none of those self esteem issues
Mm-hmm.
really mattered anymore. That hole inside of me was fixed. And I drugs made me feel like I was on top of the world. And then,
Mm-hmm.
I got clean a couple years later, and you take the drugs out of the equation, and all of a sudden, all those bad feelings about myself come creeping back in.
Yeah.
So, it's a daily struggle trying to feel good about myself. I have good days and
Mm-hmm.
bad days, like we all do. So I think this is a really great topic and something we could all work on and all use some advice on.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, this, like you said, it really is a good topic. And even some of the things you said, I could really relate to. Something I've always struggled with, loving myself. I've always struggled, like, with being confident in my self esteem. I think, especially after I've had my daughter, that's something I've really struggled with is just feeling comfortable in my body because when you look at your body in the mirror, especially like after having kids, and anyone that has kids, can relate to that feeling because it's extremely hard. It's like you have to learn how to love yourself all over again, and it can be difficult at times. And something I try to remember when it comes to loving yourself is, it's really trying to appreciate oneself, right? So, in having a high regard for your own well being and your happiness, because at the end of the day, only you can make yourself happy. No one else, no other things in your life, only you can do that for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Um, I can relate. I obviously don't have a kid myself, but we all feel that type of way
Mm-hmm.
at some point, even without having kids.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but through the years, since I've been clean, I've I've come up with ways to like try and teach myself to love myself again, like reteach my brain how to love myself again. So one of the things I do is like stand in the mirror naked and
Mm-hmm.
tell myself like I am good enough or I am pretty enough. Nobody else's thoughts matter.
Yeah.
So I've just had to like retrain my brain and tell myself I am worthy. And you know
Yeah.
if we continue to tell ourselves something every single day, pretty soon our brain will catch on and start to believe those things that we tell ourselves. And sometimes I do forget to remind myself that I don't do it every day,
Yeah.
even though I should. And and when I forget to tell myself those things, all that self doubt will start to creep in again.
Yeah.
And I have good days and I have bad days. Sometimes I look in the mirror and I love what I see, and I think my
Mm-hmm.
outfit looks great that day, or oh, I look so good. I feel good. But then other days it's like, oh, I hate my outfit today. I don't look good enough. I look super big today. And those days really suck. But I have to try and focus on the good days. And
Mm-hmm.
and I heard somebody say one day, instead of telling yourself, oh, my thighs are too big, say, my thighs got me from A to B, point A to
Mhm.
B. Like, thank God I have my legs so I can walk,
Yeah.
because some people can't.
Mhm.
We take for granted the things that we don't really like about ourselves, but in all reality, we should be grateful for those things,
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. Yeah, I think it's really good that you tell yourself, positive affirmations, but also looking in the like try to see the positive things versus the negative things about yourself. I think that's a really good thing to do, honestly. It really takes a while to be able to love yourself. And it really comes down to making time for yourself, doing things that you love. And because that's really important, I think, especially as women, like you have families, you have so much going on. It's so easy to get lost in that. So it's important, even if you take an hour to yourself once a week, if that's all you can do, and that way you kind of get refreshed and you don't lose yourself in the process, because that can
Mm-hmm.
be so easy to do, to lose yourself. Sometimes even like for me, if I only take 30 minutes an hour, I can only do it twice a week sometimes, or sometimes more, and that's what helps me get through the rest of my week. And with keeping all of that in mind, what are some forms of self-care you do?
Um, Trying to tell myself daily that I'm good enough.
Hmm.
I don't do that every day, even though I should, but that's like a really good thing to do for yourself. Keep telling yourself the same thing over and over. Train your mind to believe that
Yeah.
because it's true. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
We just need to believe it. Or something I do every night is, take the 20 or 5 or 10 minutes, however long,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how long, to do my self-care skincare routine every night,
Mm.
because that always makes me feel better. Or doing my nails because I love when my nails are done.
Hmm.
Or like, I don't work every single day, so the days that I don't work, change out of my pajamas and put on an outfit for the day, even if it's just lounge clothes, going from pajamas to lounge clothes, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter, but it's a regular outfit, so it trains my mind to think like I'm doing better, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of just like being lazy in my pajamas all day.
Hmm. Yeah, and a few things I do, like one things is like actually take a shower and be able to do my skincare routine, and not feel rushed, because I think especially with my daughter, sometimes I don't always get to do that. Sometimes it's like a mom shower, 5 minutes and you're out, to get to the baby who's screaming her head off.
Mhm.
So every time I am able to have a long shower and do everything I have to do, it always makes me feel good afterwards. And, sometimes even like going to a meeting or doing something that benefits my recovery, keeps me going throughout the week. And even sometimes, like, I'll have someone, watch my baby for 30 minutes or an hour, like, even if it's just to go to the grocery store. Like sometimes, like, it feels so nice. Even though I used to hate going to the grocery store, but now I'm like,
Mhm.
I'll
Yeah,
go,
we all need that time.
Yes. And sometimes or even like painting a canvas or crocheting or like working on the book I'm writing, like those are things like I enjoy doing, for myself.
Mhm. So, how do you think we can work on forgiving ourselves, or, looking inward on ourselves?
So some things I like to do, they're called like self-reflection prompts, and they have books you can buy, but also they have like prompts you could literally find on Pinterest for free. So things like that, I feel like even if you just do like a question like once a week,
Mhm.
so you're self-reflecting, like really looking at yourself, like what is it about myself I don't like and I can change, and really just look inward and like really dive deep. And, even for people that like, let's say you do NAA, like that's kind of like also step work could also help with that for people that do that, but people like who don't, which is perfectly fine. Everyone's recovery looks different. You could do like simple questions like self prompts, like I was saying. Also, like learning to be kind to ourselves, because it's so easy to be so hard on ourselves and like just look at the negative, like you were saying earlier, but trying to find that positive within ourselves, because that can be really hard to do.
Yep, just we need to just give ourselves a break.
Mhm.
We're so hard on ourselves. Take 5 minutes to yourself every day and give yourself, a pat on the back. Like we do hard things every single day. We stay clean every
Mhm.
single day.
Yep.
Through this crazy world, we somehow stay clean.
Mhm.
So just give yourself a break.
Yeah, most definitely. I couldn't agree more. So let me ask you this: what activities would you say bring you joy, or have you noticed any activities that you do since you've been clean that you didn't notice before that give you joy?
So I like to color in my, you know, fancy boho coloring books with my gel pens. It has to be gel
Yeah.
pens, but I have that choice today. I don't have to use
Mhm.
crayons.
Yeah.
Because I can buy myself nice gel pens today because I'm
Mhm.
clean.
Yeah.
Or um, making a nice cup of coffee with my little milk frother and making my cold foam on
Mhm.
top and just sitting out front and smoking a cigarette and drinking my coffee, which, I don't always smoke that much anymore. I vape. But still,
Yeah.
those little things, they just make me happy and
Mhm.
peace today makes me happy. Having a quiet house with, just me and my cat and my boyfriend. I
Mhm.
have peace in my life today. And those are the things I like to do and
Yeah.
enjoy because I never had that before.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's awesome. A lot of times, like, depending on your experience, like after getting clean, like most people will realize the things you take for granted when you're getting higher, when you really didn't appreciate the small things. That's one thing like I really learned, like even going outside, breathing fresh air and like not being like stuck in like a controlled environment like jail, prison, institutions, right? Things like that I truly miss. Being able to drive, simple
Mm-hmm.
things like that. And even like things I do today, like I have my daughter, I get to spend time with her. There's so many things like I get to do. I can go shopping, I can go in a store. It's just so many things you can take for granted. You
Mm-hmm.
don't really realize it until you get clean and you have all these things back and you're working on getting things back.
Why do you think it's so hard for us to take care of ourselves, but not everyone else?
So I think honestly, when you're when you really look at it, like, and I can speak because I do this often and I still do this, it's easier to fix someone else and be there for them and that, their problems. It's easy to see those things, give advice, but it's hard for us to do it to ourselves because to sit down and really work on the things we don't like or the issues that we have in our life can be really hard for someone. I know, especially for me, and it's just easier to fix someone else versus ourselves because to actually sit down, it's like, whoa, there's so many things I need to do. And it can become really overwhelming at times too for anybody, rather you're in recovery or you're not,
Mm-hmm.
so, but at some point you have to do that because if not, eventually you helping others doing all that is going to consume your life if you really don't sit down and take a look at yourself, and their life is going to be your life, and that's no way to live.
Yep. I completely agree.
Hmm.
It's easier for us to help and fix others than it is to fix ourselves because then we actually have to sit with self and look at ourselves.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't want to do that. I know
Hmm.
I don't want to all the time.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll fix the little things, but then like the inner real things I need to fix, I'm
Hmm.
like, whoa,
Yeah.
or, you know, like we give the greatest advice ever, but we. Can't take our own advice.
Hmm.
It's just those things that we have to work on.
Yeah, it can be really difficult. So let me ask you this. What would you say like happiness looks to you? What does that look like for you being in recovery and since you've gotten clean?
I think happiness to me is, coming home every day and when I walk in the door with my boyfriend, my cat is at the door waiting for me, or,
Hmm.
she'll come in and she'll start scratching on her scratch post and like she wants us to look at her when we
Mhm.
do it. That's happiness to me. Or coming home to a nice house, or having a nice comfy bed to lay in every night, because I didn't always have that. Or
Mhm.
even with 4 years clean, putting toilet paper under my sink and having toilet paper every single day.
Mhm.
Because when I was out on the street using, I didn't have toilet paper when I needed to go to the bathroom. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Mhm.
Sure, sometimes I'd go into a fast food restaurant and take a whole bunch and stuff it in my purse, but I didn't always have that. You know, like we take those little things for granted, but those small things is what makes me happy today.
Yeah.
I used to ride around and look at people and like see them having normal conversations or laughing in their car together. And I used to crave that peace and
Mhm.
happiness. And today I have that.
Yeah.
And, nothing can compare to that.
Yeah, I could really relate to a lot of that what you said. I think for me, like what happiness looks like, honestly, is the fact that I have a home of mine with the person I love, and we have a daughter together. Like we have a good, stable home, and it's a clean environment, and that's something like I've always wanted stability. It's what I wanted in my life, and I have that. And I have good relationship with my family. Like I have so many good things in my life, and that's what truly brings me happiness. But also, I'm like in this healing era, right? Some good days, some bad days, but I'm finding more peace with myself than what I had before I got clean and when I first got clean. And that's something I really treasure.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree with all of those. You know, Getting clean is really hard,
Mhm.
but once you start seeing the benefits of being clean, it's worth all the hard things,
Mhm.
all the hardships we had to go through.
Yeah, most definitely. Um and yeah, we talked a lot about, self-love, self-care, and even, being a recovery, what that can look like and how it can benefit you. And it can be hard sometimes to incorporate that in your life, but, at the end of the day, like making yourself a priority is the most important thing.
Yep. I think, we just, like I said before, just give yourself a break. You know, Life is hard, and sometimes it's okay to have bad days, but don't let those bad days outshine the good days.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Reflect every night on the good things you went through that day, or
Mm-hmm.
think of the bad things you went through and how you can fix it for the following day so it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
continually happen. Just give yourself a break. You stayed clean today, or you're trying to get clean today, or whatever the case may be. As long as you're trying to be better than you were the following day, then you're doing something good.
Yeah, that's all you can do at the end of the day. Um, and before we end this and everything, I do want to say tomorrow on our private Facebook group and our Instagram, we are going to be posting a poll. So this is something new we're going to be doing, and where there will be three options, and whatever topic gets the most votes is the topic we will be doing next week on our podcast.
So, with all that being said, thank you so much for tuning in to A Girl's Guide, Our Road to Recovery.
And we'll see you next